Prismatic Evolutions landed in the perfect time slot. Though as more time has passed, collectors are now thinking, hey, was it way too overhyped? Now, before I get into this topic, I'm actually gifting one subscriber this awesome Lechonk EB game stamped promo. Now, the reason why this is such a cool card is because this is actually an Australian and New Zealand exclusive. Now, to know if you won, if I reply to your comment with this Jirachi emoji, then well done, this chubby little pig is coming your way. Though one of the main reasons why it's such a desired set, and the reason why it was so interesting, is because the highs of Prismatic Evolutions are unbelievable. From the incredible SIR roster, I mean, you can literally pull any SIR from Prismatic Evolutions and you'll be amazed. Besides the Ogerpons, I mean, we don't pretend. But I do think some of the letdowns from Prismatic Evolutions are the harsh pull rates and the fact that Master Ball and Pokeball reverse holos just don't feel the same as illustration rares. Though when looking at the market, it seems collectors haven't exactly been throwing their money at the set. I mean, check out what's happening right now. So here I'm on Iron Hands, which personally, I think this is such an awesome artwork. You can see when you look at an artwork like this, it just stands out. They're just so cool. The designs of them, the artworks, they really did take it to another level. Though, as you can see, the price, hey man, it is coming down quite quickly. Check this out. You can see when it released selling for 54 US. Iron Hands went up to $84, which is a lot for an SIR, man. Like, I mean, before that, any SIR that got $84, you would say that that is a very desired Pokemon card. Prismatic Evolutions kind of just made everything get to that price point. But as you can see, from $84, right now selling for $47. Pretty significant price reduction with Prismatic Evolutions cards at the moment. Even the Prismatic Evolutions sealed product is going down. A lot of people are just questioning Prismatic Evolutions, and you know, the question does come, was it a little bit overhyped? Was it a little bit too much in demand? Were people too obsessed with Prismatic Evo and now they're kind of seeing the effects when the market doesn't desire it as much? You know, a lot of things are changing at the moment, dude, and I think more questions need to be asked. You know, I think a lot of people just kind of threw their money when these cards came out. I'm not saying that Iron Hands is a bad card. I'm not saying that it's not an awesome artwork, but what I am saying is that people just, you know, threw so much money during that time period. And I remember watching that because, you know, I was making content during that time and I was just like, dude, why are all you people spending this crazy amount on singles at the moment? They just don't deserve these price points. And right now we can see that they're really having a big pullback. Same thing with the Prismatic Evolutions ETBs. You can see they were selling for 138 US in March. Right now selling for $102. Now they haven't had a huge pullback. And I mean, the sealed product is definitely still more expensive than where it should be. Though you can see the market effects are currently happening. People are now saying, well, is it really worth it to overspend on Prismatic Evolutions? And I think Pokemon's really printing it. I don't think that they've slowed down in any way, shape, or form. I think they're really just saying, hey, you know what? All those videos that came out, everyone fighting over these products, we're just going to flood this into the market. And I think that Prismatic Evolutions is still going to be coming out all the way till the end of this year. And I even think next year, you're going to be getting so much stock of this set in particular. And also, while speaking about Prismatic Evolutions, if you do want to be notified when Prismatic Evolutions is available to purchase, that does bring me to the paid sponsor of this video, which is PokeNotify. Now, PokeNotify is a paid Discord server, which pings you when specific Pokemon products or pre-orders are available. So for example, with Prismatic Evolutions, it's been getting restocked along with having new products releasing. So by having PokeNotify, you'll actually get a notification when it's available to order. Now, to ensure it works best, it's good to take the time to set up your notification preferences. This way you'll get accurate notifications based on your preferred setup. And throughout 2025, there will be a lot of new sets releasing, so this definitely helps you get quick updates. Now, if you do want to try it out, there is a 3-day free trial available. And if you do use my code, you do get 25% off your first month. A big thank you to PokeNotify for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back into it. Now, interestingly, the Umbreon from Prismatic Evolutions, which, you know, gets a lot of talking point. A lot of people like this card. Some people don't. I'm kind of not the biggest fan of this card for one reason. I do like the artwork because it reminds me of Zelda Majora's Mask. I kind of just felt like this card became expensive just because it was an Umbreon and just because it was an SIR. And it was just like, hey, Moonbreon from Evolving Skies, you know what? We're just going to wait for the next Umbreon that comes out and tick, tick, tick. There you go. Here's the price you get. Doesn't feel as organic or natural as the previous Moonbreon. And you can see that this card had a high point in the market for 1,600 US, which is a lot, dude. I mean, that is to spend that on a raw card, you need to be a fruit bowl, dude. I mean, I don't know who was paying that. 6 items sold as well. I mean, there were people, there you go, there were people that were paying those prices, but you can see right now, selling for $1,142, which I still think is way too overvalued. I do think we're going to see this card continue to come down in price for a little bit more time. Now, look, I'm not saying that I don't want it in my collection. Right now, I don't have it in my collection. Maybe if it dropped to, 800, 900 USD, maybe I'd consider having a conversation with my fiance and she would say, Phil, are you a banana? I'd say, yes, I am. And she would say, well, you can buy it because you've admitted you're a banana, and she'll let me spend 800 USD on a Pokemon card. At this point, I cannot convince my fiance to buy this card. But there will come a price point where I will have more bargaining power. And when that happens, you best believe I'll come with the facts. Now moving on to the Dragapult SIR, really cool card in person. So funnily enough about this card, when I saw the reveals for Prismatic Evolutions, I was looking at it, I was like, oh, really? Dragapult SIR? Probably expected more, but I gotta admit, I actually did pull this in Terrestrial Festival, and when I saw the card in person, I was like, wow, this is wild. It actually looks really cool. You can see the card is selling for 182 US, but right now selling for $120. Definitely a big pullback on this card in particular, and I do wonder, is that because there's so much more coming on the market? Are people selling it? Are people over Prismatic Evolutions? Are people not that interested in the set anymore? Do people want Destined Rivals more? I don't know. A lot of these questions are coming up right now, and I'm just thinking out loud. I do think that Destined Rivals did take a lot of the limelight from Prismatic Evolutions, and I do think the whole Black Bolt and White Flare are going to pull a lot of demand and a lot of eyes on those new cards that are coming out, so it's going to be really interesting to see. Now you can see the Blood Moon Ursaluna had a price point of $71, one of the cheaper SIRs for this set when it released. Then it went all the way up to 123 US, and you can see right now selling for 104. Again, like when I look at that, I'm thinking, wow, that is still so expensive for a special illustration rare. And that's the thing about Prismatic Evolutions. Nearly every SIR you get, they're just getting really high price points. And I do wonder, can this sustain for a long time? I talk about the Golden Snorlax from Chill and Rain a little bit. That card to me is interesting because, when Chill and Rain came out, if you were collecting back then, a lot of people loved the Golden Snorlax. That was like a chase card, a gold card. That's really rare to happen, right? But right now, the Golden Snorlax isn't that interesting anymore to a lot of collectors. I do wonder with cards like this and the Blood Moon Ursaluna, sure, it's 104 US today. Will it be, 120, 130 US in 3-4 years down the line when the hype and momentum isn't there? It's very unlikely that it will. Now, same thing with the Raging Bolt. Now, the reason why I'm not just going through every evolution, I already did make a video going through a lot of the evolutions, and I kind of feel like me as a creator and you just in this space, I'm a little bit over the evolutions at the moment, dude. I just think like, evolutions, like everyone just has to obsess over them. Like, does anyone remember in 2023, everyone was just like so over Charizard? And I'm kind of getting that same feeling with evolutions. Like, I really like that Prismatic Evolutions added like Raging Bolt and Iron Hands and Iron Crown. All these cards are really cool. But with the evolutions, I am getting a little bit fatigued about them and, just how many people obsess over them. I do think that there's going to be a bit of a shift with what collectors prefer as well. And I've got a feeling that Mega Evolution Pokemon cards will be very popular as well because they're coming up to like this renaissance period where everyone's so obsessed with Mega Evolutions. But here we are on the Raging Bolt. You can see in March selling for 159 US. Fairly expensive, dude. Right now selling for $91. That is a significant pullback. When I open that on the 6-month graph, you can really see that has tumbled in price, dude. Highest point in the market was 166 US. Right now at its lowest point in the market at 90 US. Fair bit of a price reduction for a very cool artwork, but you can see people are just thinking, hey, you know what? Maybe these cards weren't that interesting. And of course, the Palafin SIR selling for 129 US. Right now selling for 71 USD. Again, price reductions are happening across the board for Prismatic Evolutions. It is right now on a sale. I'm still thinking there is a ways to go with these with how much more product is coming on the market, and I can see it as well. I can just see how many more of these Prismatic Evolutions ETBs and products are coming on the market. More people are opening them. And I do think that there will be still more price reductions because, $70 for an SIR is still pretty expensive in comparison to a lot of other sets. But, if you do want to buy some of these cards as well, maybe you are getting to an opportunity that, hey, at least I can get it for a much better deal than I would have bought it a few months ago. That's why a lot of people that purchase Pokemon singles or collect Pokemon, right? Everyone says wait to buy your singles because you don't want to buy singles when they release, man, because you're always going to be paying the highest price. It is so rare to buy something when it releases and then it doesn't crash down in price eventually. Now, yes, when it's out of print and, as the years go on, it will overtake its initial high price and, the whole lot, right? But I mean, at the start, you don't want to be paying these enormous prices just for the sake of it because you can't wait. Little bit of advice in life, dude. Learn to wait. When Black Bolt and White Flare is now releasing, you're going to see the same thing happen. Everyone's going to jump on the Reshiram, everyone's going to jump on the Zekrom, and then you know what? By December this year, everyone's going to say, wow, geez, they've came down in price. Now, also, I have been live streaming more lately, along with doing some awesome giveaways. If you do want to be notified for these, definitely feel free to join my Discord and just set up the correct roles. You'll actually be notified every time a new giveaway or live stream is happening, so you never miss out. The server invite is in the video's description. And moving on to the Iron Valiant, gorgeous card. As you can see, selling for 85 US, right now selling for $57. A fairly good price SIR at the moment, this one in particular, given the fact that it is an awesome artwork and it is an awesome Pokemon as well. Interesting to see where it goes. I do think the Iron Valiant from Paradox Rift was a pretty undervalued card for a long time. That is a really, really cool artwork, really rate it. You can see the Terapagos SIR as well, selling for 77 US, right now selling for 46. Terapagos just hasn't really ever gelled with the Pokemon community that much as people expected. People in the TCG just don't appreciate it, and we can see that any Terapagos SIR just doesn't get the price points that you think it would get for a mythical. And again, we can see one of the only Master Balls I will cover is the Leafeon Master Ball Reverse Holo. You can see selling for 49 US, right now selling for 33. Master Ball Reverse Holos in Prismatic Evolutions were a little bit of a letdown. I think they were interesting for the Japanese 151, but I do think Pokeball Reverse Holos, Master Ball Reverse Holos, they feel to me a little bit uninspired, and I will make a video about this in the future talking about Master Ball Reverse Holos, but I think their kind of charm is getting a little bit like, hey, instead of making illustration rares, we're just going to put this lucky little Master Ball Reverse Holo on a card and people are just going to get obsessed with it. I kind of feel like they're just collectibles for the sake of collectibles. It is the most easy, most uninspired way to make something rare. And even though they're cool and they add a little bit of value to the set, I do think illustration rares are much better, and I hope that Master Ball Reverse Holos do not replace them in the future. Now, obviously with what's happening right now, there's also a lot of demand for vintage cards. Though it's interesting how Pokemon, and a lot of people just like to go back to Pokemon. Now, what I find interesting about the TCG, in the Pokemon TCG, a lot of people love modern. They love their modern cards. They like their vintage cards, but a lot of people would agree that, hey, modern is way better. Modern has so many improvements. But when you go to the Pokemon video games, nearly all people agree that, hey, the old school Pokemon games were better. And it's not just to do with nostalgia. There's actually a few reasons why modern Pokemon games actually need a level up, and I'll reveal the reason for that in this video here. Within this video on screen, I actually go over modern Pokemon and what they need to do to improve. If you enjoy Pokemon video games, click the video that's appearing on screen and I'll see you on the next video.